Hi everybody, this is Will. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Um, it is 7 a.m. on Sunday morning, day 3 of the con, the last day, which is always the short day, unfortunately. It's the last day before everybody has to pack up, go home, usually go back to work tomorrow. That's me. So, it's early for me, so excuse the frazzled hair, but I assure you I'm awake. So I learned a lot of things this weekend, and if I can share any of it with you guys, I don't know if this is things were the way they were because SakuraCon hasn't been held in 2 to 3ish years. It's my first SakuraCon ever, but I've been doing conventions since like 2007, which is like 15 years. But I learned some things. I learned, for example. If you're going to be going to 4B, that's Hall 4B, to get in line for a one free personalized item autograph for a guest, like it says, you can line up to 30 minutes early. Definitely do that. Unfortunately, since most of the autograph sessions ended up overlapping with each other, and the lines were really, really long, you really only had time to get in line for one guest, and then you were in that line for several hours. So Friday, I want to say Friday afternoon to evening, I kid you not, because I timed it, I spent 3 hours in line waiting for Wendy Lee. I really, really thought that I was going to get unlucky. I really, really thought that I was going to have wasted 3 hours of my life for nothing and leave empty-handed without an autograph because it was literally down to the wire. We spent 3 hours in line for what was supposed to be like an hour-long session. For whatever reason, there wasn't really much moderation, I guess you could say, of the line. Like, staff weren't really... I guess like regulating the amount of time, the amount of time attendees could spend in line with a guest. So everybody took really long extra time, and I almost didn't get my autograph from Wendy Lee. And then she had to run. She had to go to her panel she was late for. So unfortunately, I couldn't even get that one personalized. It bums me out a little bit, but it is what it is. I still got something for my trouble for 3 hours in line. But yesterday, Saturday, similar thing happened. I was in Johnny Young Bosch's line for 3 hours, and I did make 2 friends. I met 2 awesome people. You guys know who you are. Thank you so much for adding me on Facebook and whatnot. But it was crazy. 3 hours in line, and the line was just not moving because there was nobody like controlling or monitoring or regulating the amount of time an attendee could be in line for a guest or whatever. I mean, I don't really know what's up with that. I don't know if it was just like, they're really short-staffed, they're short volunteer. I get it. It's been a couple of years. The COVID thing is still very much a thing, even though it's getting better in places. Like the capacity restrictions got lifted like a week before the con, and obviously the con sold out like 3 or 4ish days before the con. So I mean, that's pretty incredible. I don't even know what the numbers are going to be. Very curious to see what the numbers are going to be for attendees this year after the con when they release that. I'm estimating 20+ thousand people. It's been a lot. Not going to lie, it's been a lot of people. But I just want to say, as a follow-up to the autograph thing, as a forward-thinking thing for next year, just if you're going to be in one of those free autograph lines, just be prepared to be there a while. Be prepared to dedicate several hours of your life to standing in line, probably in that same room, unfortunately, on the hard concrete floor. So if you're going to be in there in that line for several hours, I recommend using the restroom first, getting a beverage and like sipping on it slowly so that you don't have to go to the bathroom again mid-line, and then bringing and/or a something to keep you busy, like maybe like a handheld game system, or a favorite manga book, or like your Kindle Fire tablet or Amazon iPad or whatever, not the Amazon iPad, your Apple iPad or whatever, to read some books on. That'll help kill the time. You can, socialize and mingle in line. There's a number of things you can do to keep yourself busy and not go crazy, basically. And don't stand with your knees locked. Make sure you bend your knees a little bit, or else it'll mess up the blood flow and circulation in your knees. I learned that from a Navy guy, actually. So props to him for telling me that. But the other thing is, try not to let it ruin your weekend if you forget something important that you had planned to pack. Like as I mentioned before, I completely forgot my binder full of stuff to get autographed. I was really bummed about that, but it's like it is what it is thing, I mean, it's like, well, it's 200 miles back the other direction. It's not like I can get it. It's not like I can go back and get it, I had limited time before I had to board my train on Thursday morning, and I was like, crap, I forgot it, So I had to reprint some prints that, gosh, I'm so sorry, I forgot your name again. The Komoricon Arts and Crafts lady in Discord made. Very cool that Steve Bloom actually directly credited. He initially directly credited me, but I was like, no, they're not mine. I can't take the credit. But he edited his post, and he's like, he put her name in there, and he put my name in there. So that was really cool. Direct acknowledgement from the man himself. That was awesome. But like, don't sweat it. Don't beat yourself over the head if you forget something like your autograph binder or whatever. Try to make the best of it anyways. Budget your money as best you can so that you're eating. Please eat, shower, deodorize. Stay hydrated, drink water, especially you're going to be standing in line, you're going to be walking around, doing tons of walking. I don't even know how many miles I've walked this con. I'll figure that out at the end of the day because I use a pedometer app. But like, try to be flexible, like especially if you're going by yourself. Don't let a little bit of disappointment ruin your weekend, because I almost let it ruin my weekend, but I didn't. I was good. I used mindfulness. So just don't let setbacks, bad luck, misfortune, what have you, whatever you want to call it, don't let that negative stuff ruin your weekend, because there's tons of stuff to do. You can always find something to do, I guarantee, during the open hours of the convention. Even if it's not what you wanted to do, you could be like, hey, maybe I'll go try to learn this new board game, or hey, maybe I'll go check out what sort of arcade games or video games they are that are playing. Or just, take a break, go to the manga library, go, if you're feeling crafty, go to one of they didn't have arts and crafts this year, but they had the Gundam building lounge, so you can, go to the Gunpla lounge. Tons of stuff to do. So, I mean, just don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to talk to people and try to meet people. Get contact info, especially if you guys are from the same town or the same state or whatever. And even if you're not, you can still connect on Facebook, Twitter, what have you, and still keep in touch with people long distance, I mean, definitely don't be afraid to strike up a conversation and make friends, I mean, especially if you're in a long line with somebody, like, you got a lot of time to talk to somebody. Use that time to talk to, a person or a couple people ahead of you or across from you in line. You might make a new friend or two, or a few, that's really great. So, just in summation, shower, cleanliness, hygiene, eat, all that stuff. Be flexible with your plans. Like if a panel you want to go to gets canceled or rescheduled or what have you, there were a good amount of those. Be prepared to be flexible, modify your plans if necessary, and do something else. Don't be afraid to talk to people, mingle, meet people, get contact info. Try new things. And like I said, if you get stuck waiting in a long autograph line, I know now to bring something. Bring your Nintendo Switch, bring your 3DS or your Vita or whatever, what have you. Like I said, tablet, book, something to keep you busy so you're not going crazy in line. It's actually also not a bad idea. I believe you can do this. You can bring like a collapsible, like a camp chair or something to sit in, so you're not sitting on the hard concrete floor. Because if you're going to be there for 3 hours, it's not a great idea to be standing in place, especially with your knees locked for 3 hours. And it's also not great even to be sitting down on that concrete floor. So if they do have it in the same hall again next year, which I suspect they probably will, for the free autographs, that is, make sure you're comfortable. Do what you need to do to be comfortable. And then another thing, in regards to autographs, If you want to skip the line, like if you have money to go pay for an autograph at a guest's booth, not all the guests had booths, but if a guest was like at their booth in the exhibit hall, you could go up to them and, you know, chat with them, get maybe, you know, everybody charges different rates for everything, but, you know, usually the price seemed to be about $40 to $50 per one item to be signed, and then there were like additional charges for certain guests if you wanted, like, you know, a selfie or additional autographed item or whatever. But that's the way to do it. I don't recommend standing in line 3 hours to get a single free thing signed. I recommend budgeting, saving your money, making sure if you want an autograph from multiple specific guests that are like, you know, $50 each, that you budget for that. And as far as like what item do you get autographed, what sort of thing do you get, I would find like a show that the actor or actress is in, look up what the cost of a Blu-ray or a DVD of that series is. Like if you've watched it and you like it and you know that, you know, hey, I like this character that this actor plays in the show a lot. Go on Amazon first. You can also check eBay if it's like an old out-of-print title. But I do not recommend buying the common things at you know, the exhibitor hall. Why not? Because they will charge, they almost always charge huge markup on everything. So any of your common stuff, like, you know, your anime DVDs, your anime Blu-rays, your manga volumes, those are all going to be way higher prices than you can find on Amazon for everything. You will pay a lot more at the con to have it there same day. And usually, you know, if exhibitors, vendors know that like a particular guest from a show that's like a main character that's a popular show is there, they will normally charge, you know, a premium price for a not premium item, just to be able to have that convenience of getting it the same day, especially if you want to get it signed. Another thing is that with the Funko Pops, you know, the artists, you know, I don't like them personally. I know they're super collectible, but I don't like them. They're not expressive. They all have like the same facial expression almost. Almost all of them are the same to me, but they're highly collectible. So usually guests were charging, you know, $40 to $50 to sign a Funko Pop. So that's on top of whatever you pay for the Funko Pop. I'll also try to get those online too, because some of those are going for steep prices, just, you know, unsigned. So, and it's like always like one Funko Pop per person and additional charge to get that Funko Pop signed. And the reason for that is because of the collector's resale value. The artist has got to, you know, the artist is going to take a percentage of that, you know, because they, you know, that's why they only limit it to one too, is because, you know, they're anticipating that people are going to be selling these signed Funko Pops on eBay, you know, in bulk and lots and mass, and then charging like a huge markup on that, you know, and people will pay them if you know, if it's somebody like David Lodge, you know, who I heard charges like, you know, $160, $170 for like an autograph, which is, I'm not going to lie, the man's talented. I love his work, I love his voice, but I personally probably would not pay that much money to have a single thing autographed for anybody, just because that's really out of my budget, you know? I mean, one item, you can get a bunch of small items for the price of what it would cost for one autograph from that man. But anyways, be aware, if you bring a Funko Pop, if you get a Funko Pop, try to get it online, try to get it unsigned for a reasonable price, and then if you do end up going to get it signed or wanting to get it signed by a guest at a con like Sakura Con, there is almost always going to be a you know, a higher charge than like a normal autograph, or a similar charge to a normal autograph to get that Funko Pop signed, because they know about, you know, the resale thing and the scalpers. So, and an important thing too is, like, you know, support your local artists. You know, please, you know, take the time to at least go look at, you know, like Artist Alley and the small press and the smaller vendors that are like not in the exhibit hall. They're not big companies, because they're independent people, you know. They probably, you know, some of them do it freelance, some of them do it, you know, well, actually probably most of them do it freelance. You know, they have like their own little company, or they don't even have a company, it's just their name. They do the art in their spare time, and they have like a day job, and they do that on the side. So anything you can do to help them, I'm sure would go a long way towards them, you know, being able to eat and stuff at these cons, because I know historically, exhibit hall and Artist Alley tables are not cheap at all. They're like, the low end of that is like $200, and the high end is like, you know, like $500 or $800 even, depending on the size of the space, the size of the booth or whatever, how much space you're taking up, if you're sharing it, you know, next to somebody else. So that's a thing to keep in mind, is especially support the locals and the independents. Um, yeah. Let's see what else. What else? Oh, another thing. So just to sum up what I was saying about the waiting in the long free autograph line for 3 hours to get one thing for free sign versus, waiting a few minutes and paying, 40 to 50 to plus higher dollars per person to be able to get that more personalized experience at their booth in the exhibit hall. Trust me, it is worth the money to have that personalized experience with them and be able to spend a little bit more time than you would in the free line, with the guests directly actually talking to them. That's super cool. So I highly recommend you guys get a chance. You have the money. I don't recommend waiting 3 hours in line in 4B at the chance, at the hope that you might be able to get a free item signed. That's just, to me, that's not worth it. I spent 6 hours of my weekend waiting in line for two people. That was not worth it. It was almost not worth it to me. So if you got the money, you got the cash, you got the money in your card, you have the time, definitely go up to the guest if they have a booth in the exhibitor hall. It will make for a much faster, streamlined experience, but keep in mind you will also be, paying for it. You'll be paying money for it, and probably more or equivalent to what you would pay if you wanted like an additional item signed on top of a free personal item at the signing in 4B for the free stuff.